All right, guys, welcome back to God Inc. Today we're going to be talking about our experiences with the set championship and kind of go over like some just things that we learned along the way and that we want to kind of just exposit to you guys. So as always, I got the Cloudster on the other line. Cloudster? It's gonna be a more podcasty type episode. We have a lot to say about this. It's a little bit more unfiltered than usual. I guess I kind of want to start with how locations kind of set up this meta. I mean, it's our first set championship, and I'm glad I got to experience at least two different local game stores take on it, I guess you could say. One was like a lot more structured and a lot more familiar with the whole like competitive card game scene. They have a lot more rules. They have a lot more like housekeeping things that just made that experience a little bit, I guess, more smooth, in my opinion. And then the second day, I mean, I did these back to back. Like Saturday was this shop, and then another shop. I went with Cloudy, and yeah, like the second day, it was a little bit more chaotic. There was like a lot less space, I will say.
No space.
It was just like we're bumper to bumper. As far as like I was like, oh, where am I supposed to put my lore tracker? It was so bad in that department, but it's only gonna get better. Especially that's actually our true local game store. The one I went on Saturday is like literally an hour away from my house. So it was a little bit more tedious to get to, especially since I forgot to charge my card the day before, unfortunately. So I had to like wake up early than expected after waking up at like 3 a.m. and it was a whole thing. So, but I don't know. And then my allergies flared up that day. So there's like some tournament best practices that we really want to go over as well.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Because there was a lot of factors. There's a lot of stuff can happen on tournament day. So you just want to kind of go into that day more set up than you did the day before. If you're like that kind of person that's always on the back foot, so to speak. I know I'm always trying to catch up on time and things and trying to fight commitments. So it's just these are my best practices as like someone who just does a lot of stuff throughout the days. So yeah, but let's first talk about our overall experience. So like I was saying, like I went to two set championships. They were drastically different in how they were set up and how they were conducted. I was on stream for one of them. It was like round 5 and like right before our top 8 cut, and I was put on stream with another guy, and we'll get into this later, but I tied in that match, and I'll tell you, I'll give a whole rant about ties later, but but yeah, that was super fun. And then I was like, okay, I learned a lot from that day, and I brought that into the second day. But when I get into my feelings about ties or drawing games non-intentionally, I'll explain more about my true feelings about like losses that I got and stuff like that. But I'm gonna let Kaladi kind of talk about his experience a little bit, and then we'll kind of
sure.
ping
pong. So I unfortunately wasn't able to go to the first set championship that Doctor went to, but I did go to the second one, and I thought that it was very cramped, and I felt like certain things wasn't as efficiently done. I guess like should have been more done more efficiently, and like time management and the way they were spacing out the rounds and things like that was kind of inconsistent. But beyond that, I had a very fun time. I thought it was gonna be 5 rounds going into it, but when we got there and everyone signed up, it increased the size to 6 rounds with how many people we had. So, trying to piggyback on what Doctor was saying earlier with like things you need to work on, like or be prepared for on these tournament days. Try to have enough sleep. You gotta have enough sleep because if you had a couple hours, 4 or 5, even 6 hours, I promise you, by the time you hit round three, you're going to be mentally fatigued. You're going to be sleepy. You're going to be like, hey, I want a nap right now. But you still got at least 3 more rounds to go, and then God forbid you. Well, I mean, honestly, you want to be performing well, obviously, but in this scenario, you're going to be trying to probably dreading it and wanting to go home. But you still got to play 3 more rounds before you could even get to the top 8. So definitely sleep is something that it's one of them, like if not the number one, like number two best thing. Like maybe eating is probably more important. Like you should definitely eat before. So keeping in mind that, we got to the shop about 15, 20,
it was 30 minutes before.
About 30 minutes
Yeah.
before. And so it was enough time to we had to eat there, unfortunately, but it was enough time to just check your deck. They did have, fortunately, sign up sheets to write your deck list down by hand if you didn't print it out before, which is always welcome. I'm happy they had that. So you could just show up, and if you didn't know, you could play the tournament.
And actually, a lot of people did at this one. There was a lot of like new players playing at this tournament.
Yeah, which I mean it was a surprise, but it was also welcome to see. I'm happy to see that the community's getting bigger, at least in that area. I will say that something I do like about the current way we have to write the deck list is we don't have to do any like writing the exact number of which card it is. Like, is this like the 58th card of set 2 or something like that? We don't have to write that. Nor do we have to distinguish between a foil copy or an enchanted copy of a card versus a regular copy of a card. Just write how many of you have in your deck, and they'll go from there. I really do like that. Definitely helps with the speed and less like tediousness of writing your deck list out by hand.
Just for a little background, he's kind of referring to he's referring to another card game called Cardfight Vanguard that we played competitively before. Every single rarity of the same card you would have to put down because it goes by I guess I don't know how to describe it. It's like there's like an ID at the bottom of the card, and if you have a different rarity or they came from different sets but the same exact card, you still have to list them differently. So I had there's this card in there called Blaster Blade. There's about 6 different styles of the same Blaster Blade card, but they're all do the same thing. They all have the same ability and everything. So I only can have 4 copies, but I had 1 copy of 4 of the 6 styles. So I had to list them separately in the deck list. It was really tedious. There was no no Dreamborn to put our decks in and then print out the registration sheet. There was none of that either. So it was just a lot. And we actually used those experiences and how we prepare for those tournaments to kind of as a precursor for this. So yeah, I guess did you want to add any more thoughts before we move over to the best practices?
No, we can just jump right into it because I mentioned before, probably number one, arguably number one, number two, you definitely want to get your well rested night sleep. You need a lot of sleep. Get your sleep in, 8-hour minimum. I really do recommend you get yourself a nice. I know you don't have time for this always, but just try to get the most amount of sleep you can. Like if it means coming home, taking a shower, and just sleeping, that's something you really should probably consider because sleep is very, very important. You want to be fully mentally there, awake, and everything so you don't miss play. I felt like I was a little sleep deprived, and that's just how time runs and stuff like that, and I should have got more sleep because it ended up costing me a game potentially. And that's something that I do really, really think is very important. Do you have anything else to add about that? Because I think sleep is like
as a person that operates on negative sleep always, I'm like a morning to like early afternoon type person. I'm like my most optimal is like 6 hours or like 5 hours of sleep anyway. with like how I'm younger and like to wake up early. So it just works out for me that way. The thing that gets me off is ailments. So making sure that I feel 100% there. Like I said, my allergies flared up literally that morning on that Saturday. So like I was getting medicine. It was just hard to deal with that. And then since I took my medicine, or I took like I had to take like Zyrtec and stuff like that. I had to drink more water for it to actually take effect. So I had to pee more, and then like peeing during a tournament's a little bit more tedious because like what if it's mid round, now you're costing yourself time, stuff like that. So it's just like if you have like those kind of conditions and things like that are like that can be prevented, especially if you have to take some kind of medication or do some kind of ritual, please do that. Because if I took just like my base like daily Zyrtec pill the night before, it would have been not as bad waking up. And then like the nasal spray, and then my other antihistamine, the decadescent.
He was looking bad, guys. That's what he's trying to say. He was looking real bad. He was sniffling.
Until round one started, it was just like, oh, like now my nose is running. It was bad. So it was like, take care of yourself, and be prepared in that kind of way. Even if you're not a breakfast person, please eat breakfast.
Yeah, eat something.
You have to put something in your stomach, because again, like you're going 5-6 rounds, like you're gonna be hungry.
And like those are like 50-minute rounds, so basically an hour of your time, because you're gonna and depending on what type of deck you're playing, you will use on average. I've seen about like 40 minutes of your time. Genuinely, playing the game, it's gonna be about 40 minutes.
Yeah, across. I mean, that's even sometimes not even counting like game threes. If you get it in two, usually you're getting it in two pretty fast.
Yeah, if you win in two, you probably can win it within 30 minutes. But if it's like 1-1-2, like you went back and forth, you'll push it to 40 plus. And if your deck is a slower deck, or depending on the matchup, you'll honestly run out of time a lot of the time. Like I found myself looking at the clock and seeing 3 minutes left when I was finishing games, and I was like, wow, like, ooh, that was really close. I did draw once. I'm not going to speak on that word because it's a forbidden word around this household. But it did happen to me. It can happen to you. So
it happened to me.
But long story short, you're going to be spending a lot of your time like in the game, and you're not going to realize how much time's passed. So definitely eat something. Not like don't eat something that's a little too heavy. You don't want to get sleepy now. Don't want to get the itis. Don't want to feel heavy, and also don't want to have to use the bathroom. But put something on your stomach. Get yourself a little biggie bag or something. Eat something real quick. Get some water. You need some water.
Just as a habit, just sip on it. You can sip on it during rounds, and then you just like go to the bathroom. I will say, know your local game store, or try to know it. Try to go the day before. Because I knew going into day 2 that there was not that many bathrooms. There's literally one bathroom, and there were 37 players. So I was like, oh, this math's not gonna math right. I mean, there's like a Dollar General down there, like in the same strip, but it would have been literally impossible.
Not too long.
So my water intake during the tournament wasn't as much as like the day before, because they have like 3 or 4 bathrooms, or 4 or 5. There's a lot bigger store, so it was a lot easier to go in between rounds, and even during rounds if I finished early. But yeah, those are our main things. Like, be real rested. Make sure you feel healthy, because it's gonna affect your decision making. Eat something before the tournament starts, so you have something in your stomach, and as you're winning, as you're playing it through, you have you're not like, oh, I'm starving, I can't focus type things. You have to worry about. I think those are like the main things when it comes to like,
try to hit those, like
non really game specific things. Yeah,
you got to hit that. Those are the big 3 for
and these are just like non-game specific. Now let's get into best practices for Lorcana tournaments versus like any other ones typically. So Well, first, I'm gonna just kind of give a setup, just because if you're not familiar about how these tournaments are kind of set up. So it's the best 2 out of 3 format. If you run out of so it's 50 minutes per round, and if you do not get through, if you don't have a clear defined winner by the end of the round, you go into during the mid of your game. You have sort of 6 turns, starting with the whoever whenever the time runs out, whoever's turn it is, that's turn 0, and it goes back and forth until you get to the 5th turn. And if there's no winner after the 5th turn, then that's you're forced to take a draw for that game and potentially that round, depending on what the record state is. So in my experience, on day 1 I went. My cat's getting fed. On day 1 I went. I think 3-1-2. It was a 5-rounder. No, that would be 2-1-2 because it would be 5 rounds. Yeah. So I drew in like round 3 and round 5, and that stopped me from being in top 8. So in round 5, I was fighting. They were playing down. I was playing up. I was playing like the 8th person, or the person that would have been 8th or 7th, and I had to win that game to get in the top 8. All he had to do was either beat me or draw like we did, and then he would have been fine. So that was 2 ways that person. It was very favored in for them winning. So like I think if he knew if he knew that, or if he didn't know that, that's whatever. But if he could use that to his advantage, is what I'm trying to say. And you can identify as like, oh, do I actually really need to win this game, or do I just need to play this game and it's kind of like time take care of itself? I will say that on day 1 I drew to a Steel Song player. I played Ruby with this. I drew to a Steel Song player, and then my last draw was a Ruby Sapphire player. And I want to let y'all know, and this is where the rant starts. I want to let y'all know right now, drawing feels horrible. Like I thought, like, okay, if I run out of time. No, I want to know if I would have lost that game or not, and like have it being this hypothetical universe where we actually finish the game. It's just like, it's so frustrating because it really doesn't show how, like, it kind of shows how good of a player you are, because it's like, oh, if you guys are like equal, or like y'all are making equal plays, that shows kind of like the skill expression in that sort. But it's like, oh, if I was given it's the what ifs that like kind of eat at you, and it doesn't really show your full performance. So I don't know what a better system would be, but I don't know, being forced to draw in the scenarios does hurt. We're also coming from a game where there was no draws. If you went into overtime and did like the turn 0 thing, it's whoever had the least amount of damage. So it's like whoever was losing more than you could, they just lost. It's like oh, okay, that's fine. So it's like, oh, if you had whoever has the most lore, maybe. But I feel like that would feel bad, because if you're going to like a rushed game 3, and I've went into like 2 or 3 rush game 3s out all the time to draw. I had to draw at least 4 times across the 2 days, and it was just when I was going to game 2, I really didn't want to draw, and I had to draw against mirrors, because we're just going, and then
I watched 2.
It was 2 different times, like, and the second time I lost, and then we had the overtime on game 2. So I lost that round because I had to draw in game 2, and we never went to game 3, and that hurt my record. That affected the standings. So I didn't get enough points. Even if I won the rest of the thing, I wouldn't have enough points to compare against other people that were 3-2 and all that stuff. It's just super, 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 super frustrating to draw. Especially when you're trying to like speed through plays and stuff like that. Like, I didn't think I dropped any decisions because I was trying to speed through the games. It was just, it just takes a time to just draw cards and then play your things out and all that stuff in the correct sequence and announce everything that you're doing. Your opponent's taking their time. It just feels bad. So if you have a loss, draws feel even worse because you feel like you're always trying to rush your opponent and try to go through the game so you have actual chance to get the games out so you can actually try to recover from that loss that you took in the early rounds. So I lost round 1 in both days, and I was forced into this scenario. So in Lorcana, I recommend not losing round 1 if you if you have it, which is such a it's such a like I guess like a copium type thing. But it's just losing that round 1 and just being on the bad foot all day. It's just it just feels not it. It feels so unrewarding, and I would never wish that upon anybody. And that was like my biggest gripe across both the days. I'm glad, again, like I said, I'm glad I got to experience everything. It was super fun talking to the people. It was super fun playing the games. I had a chance all 6 of those rounds on that second day, but it just again, like I said, it just felt like you're on the back for the whole time. So like in Lorcana, minimize your draws if able. Try to if you feel like your opponent is slowing the game down, like just taking too long to turn and stuff, you might have to judge call them. The question is when. I don't know when to do that. I think it's gonna get better in time. And
you gotta feel that, but I don't. It's kind of hard.
It's super hard. I don't know if there's
I'm like a methodical player and everything like that. Like I take my time in my turns.
Oh, you sure do. You sure do.
Goes out.
Which is hilarious because like we I don't know. We were like super worried that he would take too long in his turns.
I was gonna be the guy taking the line and then like going to time and stuff like that.
It's just me against Ruby players. It's just like we just take forever.
I'm happy he took all those Ruby players because I was definitely not trying to fight him.
I mean, you did. The last 3 rounds.
I fought one.
But yeah, draws feel super terrible in this game. And I don't know how they can get better or whatever, but I'm glad that our challenges are going to be like point-based, sort of. Like I'm sort of glad, not that they're sort of point-based. Just because I can kind of play that numbers game, and then if I'm winning the key games, it's a little bit more rewarding and I have more of a shot. Just like feeling that you have a chance the whole time is a lot more, it feels a lot more better than feeling like, oh, I messed up 1 round and now I'm just like my whole day is just off. So I don't know. That's why I still talked about draws. I won't.
Yeah,
I won't get on it the rest of this one.
A tip that I have, which this technically can probably go for all card games and even in games in general, you do have to set aside, if you're serious about trying to like win or something like that, you do have to set aside a lot of time to practice and things like that. And also, you probably should do a kind of a gauntlet basically to test your stamina playing the game, because you can play very well in like 1, 2, 3 games, even 5 games, 6 games, but can you still make those consistent plays on game 12, 13, 14? Because you have to realize that you're going to at least play 2 matches against the person you're sitting across, and a lot of times you will play all 3, and you have to do that for however many rounds. And like I said, we had 6 rounds, so minimum 12 matches, but I definitely played, I think, at least 15. And, by that last match, my brain was kind of fried a little bit, and I was fatigued mentally, had a little bit of a headache. I probably should drink more water, to be honest. So, whether it be playing on Pixelborn or, you can go to locals or something like that, try to go to locals and play those things. That's good stamina, reps and things like that. Endurance, is another good word to use for that.
The reps kind of also help your decision making. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. It also keeps your deck like you know your deck by like the back of your hand the more you play it and stuff like that. Of course, you'll change your list and things like that, but when you play that deck you like and you really play it a lot, you'll know how to play it in different matchups in different ways and different draws, and be more comfortable with your deck as well. So this helps you in many different ways. Just you want to play the game a lot, and if you can, try to set some time to play a lot at one time so you can get that rep for that. It's really important in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, we didn't really. Unfortunately, I had a lot of real life stuff going on, so I couldn't devote as much time to practice, and I was kind of worried about that, and I was kind of nervous and a bit. I don't know the word, but like I was not really like feeling wanting to play as much going into it because I was like I didn't really practice and I really wasn't fully comfortable with my deck or anything like that. But when I got in there and I sat down and I played against the other people and I saw how the games were actually going, I was like, okay, it's actually not that bad. And I got into it and I ended up actually enjoying my day and was happy that I played that day, honestly, because I got to see some different decks, see how people play, see how my deck building skills were because I did like a complete last second switch with my deck and just threw some stuff together. But I actually really like my changes, and I'll talk about that a little bit later with about the things I liked about my deck and like what cards I really felt performed. But honestly, just playing a lot definitely would help you in your like consistency as well as game planning and just your knowledge of what you need to do and how to operate to win the games.
Yep. Yeah, that's because I've heard myself. Yeah, I played in my locals and like every week as much as I could. Those were like 3 rounds. So I was like, all right, I'm used to the 3-rounders. And then I don't know, whenever I get tired of like when playing these kind of things, I try to use that. You try to use all my available strength to just focus more and more what I'm doing and how we're playing, because like it takes like one misspeak or whatever and then like someone can judge call you. Like I almost triggered Teeth and Ambitions on a character that was going to banish with Prince Eric. Like it was that kind of thing. But as soon as I pointed to the card that I was about to do it to, I took a minute and just took a quick second and recentered and said, all right, I want the damage from Teeth and Ambitions to go here, but I want to banish this one. And he gave me some lip about that, but I didn't care because what is actually announced is what's kind of the final decision on a play, which is just goes back to the rules. And they recently like kind of they didn't rework the rules, they just like update the rules. So I had to read through all of those, and a lot of people don't know the rules. I figured that out talking to people. I went to locals the next day.
Reading is boring.
Shut up. I went to locals the next day, and I was like, wait a minute, like someone told you at the tournament that Jafar can let you you can gain lore off Jafar if you have my Queen's Castle going next turn. I'm like, no, you can't do that because you have to. You ready your characters before you can even resolve skills like that. The skill of drawing a card from Queen's Castle goes to the bag, and you would gain lore from the location and ready your characters before you can even resolve the bag. And a lot of people didn't know that. So I had to tell a new player, like I had to steer them straight and say, hey, like this is what you need to be referring to when you want to like do these kind of fringe plays or you have like these weird things. Thankfully there was people at the shop that also had more experience with that rule set. So when there was those kind of discrepancies, we were able to be like, oh yeah, he's right. And stuff like that, and just like kind of validate each other. So know the rules going into a tournament, especially for any competitive tournament. Know the rules down to the fringe thing. Sometimes talk about it with your friends. That's what me and Clyde do all the time.
It's good to be very familiar with the rules. I won't say like
I'm not saying
I get it. You have a life and a job, so you're not gonna be able to remember every line B of the 16th rule on page 4. Like I get it. You're not gonna be able to remember that, but just be familiar with the rules and how like at least resolve and how the bag resolves. You definitely need to be familiar with how the bag resolves. When it resolves
and like all that stuff.
Resolves the bag and stuff like that. And like turn order, because with locations it actually doesn't matter when things proc. Even with like sad beast procs and things like that, like you need to know when these things happen because it actually does matter.
Yeah. For example, if you didn't know that sad beast was also card rules, you also need to kind of know about what the cards do. So read the cards and they play if you're unfamiliar with a card, please just read the card. No one's gonna fault you for reading the card. Just read the card as soon as it plays on the field, because if it's not a May ability, you have to remind your opponent. Otherwise, you both get a warning, and enough of those. Now you had to force draw a whole round because y'all forgot to y'all mess with the game state. That's what I'm trying to say. So like Sad Beast, or Tragic Hero Beast, both players get a warning if the person without the Tragic Hero Beast forgot to draw, because it's a forced ability, not a May ability. So if it's a May ability, you don't have to remind your opponent. It's actually your best interest not to remind your opponent when that happens. Same thing with when they play Aerial, they have to use Aerial's ability on play. They don't have to get a card from it, but they have to check the top 4 cards. So if you don't remind your opponent, you can get a warning from that as well. And that's kind of what we made this channel for, is to kind of go through those fringe scenarios, talk about what's good in that kind of sense, kind of go through some combos, because I know that Cloudy's like really big into combos and like OTKs from his track record. So, but yeah, know the rules, read the cards when they come down. Those are some really good practices to do. Yeah, is there anything else that you could think of as far as like tournament type things?
I saw quite a few people using paper to track lore. I do think that's the best way to just writing down lore and tracking that. Always tracking your opponent's lore as well is very important. There was many times throughout the tournament that one of me or the other player just misremembered the lore or miscounted the lore for whatever reason, and he was able to correct because we had the notes and things like that written. I wrote my lore and my opponent's lore down, and I want to say everybody but one, maybe 2 people didn't do it. They used the LORCANA app, but the people that I knew that were like pretty good for sure, they were using paper.
Yeah, and that's what judges use to settle disputes. It's kind of like a transcript of the match, and every single time my opponent Lord, I confirm with them. It's like, you're gaining this to get to this new total. So just like every single time they gain lore, I repeated it back to them, and as we both confirmed, that's what got written down into the ledger. We use like these digital writing pads, just so we weren't using a bunch of paper. It was a lot easier to keep up with as well. So yeah. But we did lose like between rounds, like what the lore counts were and stuff like that. So technically speaking, if we wanted to analyze those games, a little bit hard to analyze. And in that case, you would use like an actual notebook. But yeah, just like a little pad
or a device I could save.
Or a device I could save. That'd be even choicer. Gotta think about playing it. So yeah, some shops have like little like notepad type things you can use to keep track of that, because this is a very common thing in card games. So check it out, practice with it. I got pads for me and Cloudy like a few weeks before. I think it was like a couple weeks actually, and just so we had practice using it, just so it's not out of routine. And we kind of develop those good habits coming into the tournament. So we went to lore tracking. I think, is that everything? Is that all my thoughts about the set championship? I do want to talk about the decks. But I was talking about the tournament stuff. Yeah, I think that's all
for tournament preparation. I think that's pretty good. I mean, obviously, you want to be familiar with the meta. That's like the last thing. Just be familiar with the meta. Know what decks are generally being played, and try to understand why those decks are being played, or what their game plan is, or what they're trying to do. I.e., I'm going against a Steel Sun, let me ink out. Oh, I'm going against Ruby Sapphire, I gotta watch for Dime, stuff like that. Just be aware of the meta, the different color combinations that are being most prominently used. I say at our set championship there was a little bit of diversity, but of course the more rounds you won, the more it just funneled. It kind of filtered all those niche decks out. The aggro players started to lose, the bounce players started to lose, and then it just became Ruby Purple, Ruby Sav. I think it was a blue steel, a couple blue steels up there, and like I think a couple arrow steels. So, uh,
No, there's a Steel Song guy.
it was a steel song. Probably.
Yeah. It was the guy who got second place. Won with Steel Song. Yeah. He was super cocky. Didn't like him.
He's the red shirt guy?
Yeah, red shirt guy. Yeah.
Man. I'm happy he lost. Okay, I'm not.
He was just super cocky, and you're gonna see those players. You're gonna see a variety of players at these tournaments.
Yeah, there's a bunch of players at tournaments. You know, the people that are sweating, but they're good, like they're cool people. Then you got like the people that are like really nervous. You got the people who think they're gonna win it all, and they think they're better because they go to a lot of the tournaments and stuff like that. You got the actual people that are good. Typically, these guys are wearing jerseys and they don't talk much, but they know everybody who's like decent. So you can, if you want to like eavesdrop, I guess, or clout watch, if you want to hang around those spheres, because you'll still find some decent tech there. I won't say you won't get information, but ultimately, who cares? Just like there's so many different people you'll meet there. Just try your best, man.
And be nice. Just be nice.
Be nice. Wash your butt. Be nice. Cause I'm all right. A little tangent. This is another thing you need to do. Wash that butt. Bro. Open them cheeks. Wash that butt. You gotta clean your body, because I thought I was gonna make the whole day without smelling the stench. I got to my last round. Like I said, I was fatigued. I was going through one of my worst matchups, you know. And I'm sitting here like I'm making misplays. I'm having a headache, and then the dude next to me is smelling like 2 cans of Bounce That Butt. I can't do it, man. With a little bit of sweat on top, drizzled on top, a little bit. And it's like
sweating the game,
man,
sweating in real life.
Ooh. And he reached over to shake his player, the other player he was going against hand. I was like, man, put your arm down, bro. Like, yikes.
It was so bad. I was dying laughing at the time. It was so bad. But yeah,
please wash it. Deodorant, mouthwash if you can. Brush your teeth.
Yeah, the stereotypes are real. Every single time we've gone.
Yeah, plumbers everywhere.
Fighting game tournaments, card game tournaments.
Not the fighting. The haircut. Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But yeah, just
ashy lips. All right. Let me stop talking.
Personal hygiene. It's the moral of the story. Let's keep
hygiene. Personal hygiene. Please clean your body.
I'm begging.
Clean your body.
But yeah, let's get going. Yeah, but piggyback off Dex. I played Ruby Amethyst, like I said before. People were looking at my build because they saw the decisions I made and said, all right, that is so smart. I'm surprised more people aren't doing it. Because a lot of people are just going to, what are they called? Metaslave, net deck is what I was going to say. Net deck. Just get a build offline, just keep playing it type stuff, because they're they're like, oh, if it ain't broke, don't fix it or whatever. I kind of like to play into my weaknesses a bit more and just kind of have a plan for like the worst case scenario, which I thought was Steel Song, but I don't know anymore. Not my worst case scenario is drawing. So being able to fight the mirror, being able to fight people that have as much banishing power as I do is something to keep in mind. And it shrug. Next set, I'm gonna play this more like challenge centric thing and like keep their board clean, not only with like be prepared, but with rushers and things like that. I kind of have like a build right now that I played at my most recent locals this past Monday. It did okay. I lost round 1, like I've been doing the whole weekend. But after that, it was just kind of working. I had Medusa in there. I got the little rocket stitch. So I'm super excited for net set. But back to this set. My deck is pretty standard. I only ran 3 Sorceress Maleficent. I only ran 3 of the rabbits instead of 4. I felt that I had enough draw power and I needed to kind of address my early game war instead of kind of drawing, because if I go into my at that time I was trying to prepare for the Steel Song matchup or Steel matchups where they can easily just, maybe discard the rest of my hand and draw a new 7. I was just trying to like minimize their ability to do that by playing some early removal. So I opted for 2 Queen of Hearts, the little rush, impulsive roller rush ones. I ran 2 Pinocchio to exert them in the cases where I need to have exert. Say if I play like a Rafiki turn 1. I only ran 3 Rafiki. I went back to always classy mini for my 1-drop as well instead of playing turn box followers. I did some testing with children's bogs. I liked it, but I ran into a lot of games where they were just getting rid of it before I can even quest and get the free card. Not the free card, but get the card from it. And I was like, I don't like my opponents being able to stop my turn 1 plays, and I'm kind of on the back foot. So I went back to mini. And just had my teeth and ambitions there. But now that I had like this queen package, I had the Pinocchios, it was I had 3 snakes in this deck. I think standard's 3 snakes now because you really want to run 4 of the foxes. But yeah, it was just, it felt a lot better. It was a lot more consistent. She just stepped on the board. There were so many games where mini was just gaining lore. Uncontested because they just didn't want to deal with the 1/3 body. So it was fun. I was able to take a teeth inhibitions, quest with her, put the snake down type stuff. It was a lot. It felt a lot more consistent. I instead of running the new Maui's Fishhook, which a lot of people ran, I didn't really want to rely on items. Because if I run like a 1 or 2 of an item, it gets easily removed for steal. So instead, I played Peter Pan's Shadow, not sewed on. They gave all my rushers. So at that point, it was Queen and Fox and Maui. They gave them all evasive. So it's like I can now hit evasive targets without paying the 2. I don't need Maui out. I could just put them down, and then now my rush mim can get hit into evasives if they need to, and things like that. I mean, I still had like the crab. I had 2 crabs and the minis, the Stylish Server minis, 3 of. So like I was able to hit any evasives that I came through. I'd actually end up not going into that many evasives, but I was able to hit them in the event that I was going against them, and then she would have had some health left if I was like in the mirror and I need to take out a solid surfer or whatnot. So there was all those to deal with, like people that can get away with, that think they can get away with like easy lore. So that was like my early game. I also had I also ran 1 copy of Prince Eric. Just in case, because the Teeth Inhibitions Eric play, I could just like quest out, Teeth Inhibitions him, deal some damage to somebody. I ended up doing that on day 1. Like I was saying, when I was almost about to misassign the damage. And it just came in handy. I was able to clear the board a little bit more effortlessly versus having to wait for it to be prepared or something like that. I ran 3 Tremaine instead of running a Medusa. I felt pretty confident to be able to clear the board with the early package, and that trickled into mid to late game where they're running only like 2 or 3 people on the board. If they fled out any more than that, I'm just gonna rely on being prepared anyway. So I felt like being able to deal with ward targets and things like that with the Tremaines was a lot better use of my 6 unequal spot than I'm at a Medusa. And also I was running 1 copy of Spirit of the Winter Elsa, so I was able to just tap down things like goats or people that I could deal with next turn because they can't start in the next turn. So now they're down for 2 turns instead of 1. It's cool. So it's like, it's better than Pinocchio in that sense because I had to attack him that turn, but at least with Elsa I can kind of take a breather. And my rationale was if they're down to like a goat level win or like we're both down to like a goat level win, I can tap them down and kind of buy myself time with the Elsa play. So, and she can get bounced with the mem package if needed, things like that. And I had the 9 cost two. I had 2 of the Maleficent dragons. For target removal, I guess you could say. She is inkable. I was able to ink her early a lot of the games, and there was a few games where like being able to banish a chosen character did come in handy, since it's not dependent on how much what was it, strength they have. It was a lot more freeing. I didn't want to play like Dragonfire, so that's why I played the Eric. Eric plus 2 inhibitions is a 2-card combo, but it's better than just playing an action, and then it feels better because you developed a character at least, or gained some lore before that. I don't know. That was the kind of the rationale, and everything else was just like standard. The goats, 4 goats, 4 Maui. I ran 3 Kuso's Llama for the same reason. I was running like 3 of the rabbit and the sorceress. Ran 3 Be Prepared because I was running the Elsa. 4 friends, and then I had Toon Queen's Mirror Chambers, the Queen's Castle. So I felt like I should have ran 3, but I just ran 2 for this one. I was clocked at like 62 cards, so this is a little bit of a more updated build, I can say. And I think I just ran an additional Eric or something like that, but and something else. But that's not the point. The point is, I felt pretty good with that build. It got a lot of heads training. It surprised a lot of opponents. So like have some nuance in your build is the main thing. And Cloudy ran Blue Steel. It's a really good build. I'll let him tell you about it.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna go through every single card like you did, which I mean,
you could. You don't run that many cards, but
okay, yeah. I mean, I ran 60, but basically, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things about the deck. A lot of people say that Blue Steel is one of the best decks in the format, if not the best deck in the format. I think that statement reigns true in a high steel setting. So if you know a lot of people are playing steel, Blue Steel has probably the highest win rate amongst all the steel decks. Emerald Steel, Amber Steel, even Amethyst Steel. All 3 of those decks, on paper, probably don't beat Blue Steel most of the time. I think Emerald Steel probably has the best chance, but I won't underestimate the other ones. Like, it's still a close battle. You can win with any steel combination against Blue Steel. I think Blue Steel just has the tools to just completely nullify a lot of the decks. I played against 2 Steel Song variants. One variant was just a more traditional build where he was all gas, no breaks, where he just wanted to get out his Queen or his Robin Hood or his Cinderella so he could shift 5 into the big Cinderella, and then the Ariel comes down turn 3, but he just whiffed on A Whole New World. He hit me with I think Grab Your Swords once and Let the Storm Rage On, and I was like, that's perfectly fine because I played around these things. Haram has 6 HP, and I'll talk about the MVP in the deck in a second, but He Who Shall Not Be Named, giving everybody resist 1 is the key here. That's the teaser when I get there. So dealing with the traditional Steel Song, not really that big of a deal because oftentimes the way you beat Steel Song is the way you always want to beat that A Whole New World type of gameplay, which is just play your cards or play like ink out as much as you can. So obviously, one of the most consistent inking strategies you have as a Sapphire player is to turn 1 Popsicle, turn 2 play Shmi probably, and then turn 3 you want to get your Fishbone Quill out, ink something, hopefully a uninkable in your hand, and then play a Popsicle again, or maybe even a Develop Your Brain to ensure you have that Haram. And then if you have Haram going into your turn 4, it's perfect. You can Haram, draw your cards, ink something else. You have 2 ink to do whatever you want to with. And from there, you slap down Mr. MVP himself, Cogsworth, And the game starts to really get a lot easier once Cogsworth hits the field. Being able to use him to sing your most important removal songs, All Along Came Zeus, Let It Go, as well as being able to just sing A Whole New World and start the wheel up for yourself. You just emptied your whole hand out, and if you don't have that Haram package, it's always great to sing it with Cogsworth. It does leave him vulnerable, so a lot of times a Ruby player will just immediately Maui him on reaction if he's exerted. So you keep that in mind in the Ruby matchup. You probably don't want to exert him if you can, because you want to force them to use Be Prepared, basically. You can sit there and have a 2-card field, 3-card field, and it'll just be like, I have to be prepared for that because Cogsworth alone is such a threat. And going into the steel matchups, very, very easy. You slap a Cogsworth down, most steel decks can't kill Captain Hook. They're like, oh, wait, Stormray John can't kill him? If you're going against Emerald Steel, with the control variant with Ursula, sure, she can, double sing it and kill Hook, but then you just have to use 2 Stormray Johns onto a 2-health target just to remove them. So it's like, okay, I'll let you have that. You want the card draw and everybody. Like, it's not that bad of a trade. And then there were scenarios where I was able to put 2 Cogsworth. I put down a 3rd Cogsworth against 1 Emerald Steel player. He scooped immediately. He knew the round that round was over. He said, all right, yeah, you got it, man. He shook my hand. Because resist 3, you're not killing anything I have. You're not killing a single thing. And so Cogsworth alone is such an impactful card because of him having Ward. And a lot of people didn't even know about this card, like what he did. I had 2 different players I played against that said, well, let me read that card. Cogsworth, they looked at me like kind of like perplexed, and when they looked at the card, they was like, "Wait a minute, he has Ward." Yeah, because one dude tried to Zeus him. I said, "Nah, Ward." He's like, "Wait, huh? Nope." Well, I'll grab your swords. That's fine. I'll do 2 of them. That's fine. He's still alive with 1 HP.
By the way, when he Zeused you, if there was another card on the field, he had to target another card. Because he already played the Zeus.
Oh, when he plays it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually crazy. I didn't know that. You got to know the rules, guys.
Yeah, that's why you subscribed to Guy Inc.
Well, I didn't want him to Zeus anything else, so I'm gonna let him make that mistake. I don't want him to Zeus anything else. He didn't play the card at all. He set it in his hand and did some other stuff. I was like, all right, perfect, because I didn't want him to Zeus anything else. But I think like with a Haram and Cogsworth out, you pretty much guarantee if you have 2 Pulsicles out, they'll probably both be popped. And if you draw 4 cards off with 1 Haram, he's done his job. Who cares? Because there's been a lot of times where people try to Maui Haram and they're like, wait a minute, Cogsworth is still going to make this man be alive for 1 HP. And I can't hit him with the little beat or little Pinocchio attack because he has the resist 1. So I have to overcommit here to kill this Haram. And sometimes it doesn't feel that much, like it doesn't really feel that worth it to do that. And then when the Maui does hit the Haram, he takes that 1 damage, which allows him to be able to be removed by certain combination of cards easier later as well, which does add up and does factor in. So these things are really nice, and I think Cogsworth, this being like 5, having 5 HP, Ward, and giving everyone resist 1 is just such an excellent card. It's one of the best cards.
It's still good. Honestly,
underrated card. I was on it at the end of set 2. In set 3, he really blew up with showing how impactful he is. Another surprising MVP is the I don't know if they have a term for it in Lorcana speak yet, but for lack of a better term, the scrying cards, the cards like Gaston or the 4-cost Grim Altala, who allow you to look at the top 2 or top 3 cards of your deck and pick one and put the other in the bottom or the others at the bottom. Those cards were very, very, very impactful. Develop Your Brain as well, the 1-cost card. Underrated card. Did not see any play of those last 2 sets, but hey, that card is very underrated because you get to draw the card as well. So it's literally like a Pawsicle that's not an item, but you get to look at the top 2, get what you need, get the Unequal to use for Fishbone Quill, get the Whole New World you need to sing to keep you in the game, get your removal card you was looking for off the top of the deck, get you the Gaston to keep scrying. This is what happens a lot. These cards, especially since you're playing Sapphire and you have so much ink, later on in the game, if you're in the top deck scenario, which did happen against Emerald Steel, a couple of times because, they're running discard, I was able to top deck a Pawsicle, play it, get into another Pawsicle, play that one, get into Develop Your Brain, play that, scry for a Gaston, and then use my remaining ink to Gaston, and then draw myself into a Haram that I had next turn to stabilize myself with a card draw. And that, being able to just do that and roll yourself into a great scenario, very, very good. Another time I was going against a Steel Song player, he had a Cinderella out and a full board, and I was able to use Grandma Tala to get me to a popsicle so I could play the popsicle and use my Haram to quest, destroy the popsicle. I drew two. I drew Grab Your Swords and I let it go. Perfect cards to use right at that time. And it was just like, wow, this is fantastic. Being able to just out of nowhere draw into what you need. And me and Doc try to play test around with more than 60 cards in your deck, but I feel like for Blue Steel, at least this variant, you want to keep your deck at that 60 so you can guaranteedly see the exact thing you're digging for. Because you can keep digging. And that's why I like that new card coming in set 4, Dig a Little Deeper. That's the whole aspect of this deck. You just want to keep digging to get to your exact card that you need to keep you in the game or to stop your opponent. Get that extra ink. Oh, I stride into a Lucky Dime. Perfect. I got the Gaston right here. Lucky Dime, quest out. They wasn't ready for it. A lot of things that those scrying cards, those 3 cards, and I take in the Grandma Tala at the 4 drop. A lot of people don't run that card. I actually ran it at the start because I didn't have 3 copies of Gaston. I only had 2. And so I put her in as the 3rd little niche option, but I ended up taking out a Tragic Hero Beast. Tragic Hero Beast was my favorite card. I did not want to take him out, but I found that he had less value in this deck versus that Grandma Tala. And so having 2 Grandma Talas out to be able to just, I play her on turn 4. If I don't have Haram, try to search and get the right thing I need to keep myself in the game and keep myself relevant really, really did matter. And she can sing Along Came Zeus in a pinch as well. Very, very good. Underrated card, and she's inkable. Very underrated card. Helped me out running 2 of those and 2 of Gaston. Of course, you always still have to run a Whole New World. If you're playing Steel, that's a staple. You have to have 4 slots in your deck dedicated to a Whole New World. And
never playing honestly, Emerald
Steel. Yeah, I guess Emerald Steel doesn't have to.
That's the only one. That's the only one that shouldn't run it.
That's the only one that they probably shouldn't run it.
Even Purple Steel, actually. Even Purple Steel, I don't think you read it because you have so much card draw coming from the purple.
Yeah, it depends on how you build that the Purple Steel. And then if you're running the Jafar, you do. So.
Oh, yeah. But
there
was like nobody.
If you're running that mid-range version,
nobody ran the Jafar.
But so honestly, with running the Whole New World, it's cool. A lot of times it got like destroyed out of my hand. Bare Necessity. 2-drop Ursula, Deceiver, just coming out. Let me see your hand, a Whole New World, and you got a 5-drop. Destroy that, get that out of there. And a lot of times I didn't care because I think the main draw engine is the Haram package. You really want to hit that Popsicle into turn 4 Haram. You really want it. You really, really, really want it. It's very, very good, and it allows you just to snowball the game in your favor. Because if you, like I said, if you have that Popsicle, that Fishbone out, Haram, it allows you just to keep yourself going, keep yourself rolling into your engine, and to ramp up to your answers. Your big dime plays, something like that. Speaking of dime, I almost didn't run dime. I teched in a couple of Robin Hoods. I was able to stumble across 2 Robin Hoods, and I was trying to tech in a couple 2 of the Robin Hood package. 2 smalls, 2 big, 1 drop. And I was trying to see if it was going to work, but I found myself more often than not, just inking it. And I didn't really like how the card played in Blue Steel versus Steel Song. Obviously, being able to shift 3 and sing the Whole New World is a great thing. But honestly, you don't really ink enough for that to really be worth it in Blue Steel, to be honest. And so I didn't really favor that gameplay. And I also felt like I wasn't seeing him enough with the 2 and 2. So I decided to take him out. And I put in 2 Tamatoas and 2 Lucky Dimes. This is like last ditch, like the morning before. I tried it out on Pixelborn a couple of matches, and I actually liked it better just being able to have that dime out, because I found that in the toughest matchup, which I believe is Ruby decks, Ruby Sapphire and Amethyst Ruby, those 2 decks can really just keep controlling you over and over and over. They be prepared your initial Cogsworth. They clear your board with their Mauis. They get more value with you on the location battle as well. I'll talk about that in a second with their Queen's Castle. And being able to draw cards off of that. And just being able to be prepared things. Some people I saw were teching in Prince Eric's, and of course Lady Tremaine always is a Cogsworth killer. Even Madame Medusa, just to clear your board around and then leave your Cogsworth as the only thing there, forcing you to exert it for a song if you had to, which I try not to do, but obviously if you need to sing a whole new world, you have no cards in hand, you have to just do it. It's easy to like snuff out that Cogsworth value because you're never wanting to do any trades. You just kind of want to do outright banishments. I will say Cogsworth is not completely useless. Obviously, he does help beat the Madam M rush tactics and things like that. But Ruby players with their access of just so much ease of banishment does hurt the deck a lot. So the only way I was able to really get around that was I knew they were going to just outright banish my cards. I had to play Lucky Dime because I knew that Ruby players didn't have any item removal. And of course, Ruby Steel and Ruby Emerald aren't that strong. So the odds of them running that combination to have item removal is very low. So obviously, just play the Lucky Dime on 7 if you have to, or play when you have 7 ink just to get out on the field and then say, all right, this is a ticking time bomb. As long as we're in that top deck scenario, I can play something and then dime it to get the value. So if I top deck a Gaston, I'm diming it, getting my 3. If I top deck a Tamatoa, I'm diming it, getting my however. And, there's merit to say, well, we'll put Belle in so you get your 5. I think she's, with 4 HP, a little too weak. She doesn't have ward. Even with resist, she still dies to Zeus. She still dies to Maui. It's like, and then trying to use her ink ability, it kind of hurts you more than it helps you because you have a lot of cards, but you don't have that many cards. A lot of the cards you're trying to use, you're either going to ink or you're going to play. And it's like, I get you saying, oh, well, just ink with Belle, but it's like if I ink everything, I won't have the play to like benefit off of her because I'll maybe get 5 and I'll have no cards in hand, they kill her, and it's like, okay, I'm at top deck. Versus, playing a Gaston and being able to continue my value with that or something like that. So I opted to not run the Bells. I almost thought about cutting Beast, but I felt like him as a 2-of, he still was a nice quester. He still was a bait for removal. He still was a pinch draw engine when you were in that top deck scenario. Just hit a Be Prepared, no cards in hand on both sides. Beast can help you control the game back, obviously. But running him more of a 2, I don't think I will in this exact iteration, especially going into set 4 with getting the new blue aerial and everything like that. I think that may change.
I'm scared.
And then to talk about the location, I did put in McDuck Manor 3 of those because just having that 9 HP, doesn't matter who you're going against, it's tedious. If you're going to get Steel, they're going to have to Zeus it and still swing 1 to if not 2 people at it. I went against a Blue Steel Mirror. They have no cards to really deal with it. Beyond, they literally have to swing with like everybody and a Zeus. It's so hard to deal with. Because Rom hits for 1, Cog hits for 2. It's like, ooh. Running Rise of the Titans is an option.
That's the only way to get past it, honestly. And honestly, if I was a Steel player, I probably would have ran Rise of the Titans.
Luckily, I high rolled, only went against one Blue Steel player and I beat him. But so I don't necessarily think as the Blue Steel player I didn't want to run it. But there is merit to think about trying to fit it in. I opted with Judy Hobbs instead of Benja, which did bite me because I had to remove a Amethyst Ruby player's spellbook, and they were able to draw with that, and then the draw they had was a rabbit, and that really did punish me for running Judy Hobbs. But inversely, I was able to use a Judy Hobbs to remove my own Popsicle and keep myself going in another game. So that card, ultimately, that's up to you. If you want the more consistent, easy, relaxed feel of Benja just coming out and removing someone's item and not giving them any value, Benja's better in that regard, obviously. But if you have those scenarios in your head where it's like, man, if they snuff out my stuff, I need an option, Judy Hobbs does help with being able to remove your Popsicle in a very pinch, like I'm going to lose the game soon if I don't get something. Pinch scenario, Judy Hobbs. And that's what I like about this deck, where it's like there was moments where I'm down 18-2 lore. And there's scenarios where the one card that you get can help you roll into another card, which helps you roll into Haram. You then play it, sack 2. You get a Popsicle, you get a Develop Your Brand or something. Use that to roll into something else. And since you're playing Sapphire, you have so much ink that the play can just start to roll. And your opponent will be like, wait a minute, he just tapped out 12 ink, played 4 cards. He had 1 card in his hand at the start of the turn. How did he do that? That's how the deck rolls. And you can, out of nowhere, hard cast 2 songs and like destroy their board, get rid of their big thing, get rid of their small stuff, play a 2-drop Smee, and now they're like, wait, what's going on? You play a Cogsworth next turn, exert the Smee, He didn't take any damage. They got to rebuild. You got 2 solid building foundations right there on the board. And I've had these scenarios where I just draw into these things. And that's what's really fun about the deck. But the deck can feel really random in that regard as well. You can scry into nothing. I've done that. Hey, I need an ink option here. Scryed, 2 uninkables. Hey, I need a removal. Scry, 2 Captain Hooks. All right, well, I guess I just lose, man. And that's just how card games are, you know. But overall, I think the deck was pretty consistent. McDuck Manor being 9 HP, like I said, crazy. Crazy. You got Maui's Madam Mim having to both hit it. You got whole fields for Sapphire trying to hit it. Whole field for aggro players trying to hit it, but they probably don't care. Still, some players will try to ignore it, but they'll realize you'll get so much value off of it that they need to they need to deal with it. So they'll try to queen it or something like that. But it's kind of worth it because then you get to just take their queen out for probably value at that point. Like if I've had a play where they had to queen with a Robin Hood to try to kill my McDuck Manor, and I just was able to use a Captain Hook and take out their queen next turn, and it was like, well, I'll take that trade. It's a very, very good trade. And a lot of times people have to devote more than one turn to deal with a Manor. And once Manor gets 4 lore, who cares about it dying? Honestly, he gets 2 lore, it's still pretty good. But if he gets 4 lore, okay. He got it, man. I got 4 lore off that. It's great. It paid for itself. Anything after that, you probably won the game. So,
honestly. But there's a lot of games where like coming back was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like, it's like, oh, I disabled you so much that all these people that I put in that were 2 lore questers are just paying off right now. Because I'm going definitely uncontested multiple turns, and it's like and that's why I put Elsa in, so I get that three quest. I don't know. That was kind of the rationale. Yeah, it's just like, oh, I played her down, and I'm questing for 3 next turn. Enjoy. So against the mirror, they just beauty,
I think I think the beauty of Blue Steel is, honestly, I like the way it wins Moors. Like, if you're not going against Ruby, and a lot of your removal can be sang with creatures, obviously, but you also have like Tinkerbells and things like that who can come on the field and do just major things. And if you can develop, Cogsworth, Gaston, Tinkerbell at some point, chances are that, especially if they're a Steel player, they can't beat that board. That board is really, really solid right there. And if you play, like I said, you play 2 Cogsworth against Steel, they might as well just wrap it up. Because I can just leave them there, never exert them until I play like enough creatures that you guys can't deal with. And then I say, okay, I look at my board and I count it up. I say, okay, I have 10 here with a dime out. Gaston's giving me 3. I just dime him. I got 13 lore. I look at my lore. I got like 8. I'm like, okay. I win next turn. You got any way to remove me? They're looking at me. Grab your swords. 0 damage. Zeus. Okay, you did 3 to that. He's still alive with 1 HP. He's still alive with 2 HP. And it's like, well, shake my hand. You can't beat me. And that was the way I was able to win to people. It's just like playing double Cogsworth is almost such a hard, like, unbreakable board. It's not even funny. It's not funny. Just having double Cogsworth out, having Gaston be a 4/6, quest for 3. Beast with resist.
That's not 4/6.
Like, effectively a 4/6.
No, because see, that's not the best way to look at resist. Resist lets you just ignore 2 damage. It's not like you're able to take that 2 damage. It's actually a step better in a lot of cases, and that's why
it is.
That's why the Cinderella still sees play today, because like that resist 2. It's like, I'm nulling out. You have to do at least this much damage to do 1 damage to me.
Even hit him.
That's kind of the better way to look at it versus like, now he has like 6 HP, right? Because in that case, it seems like more like, oh, that still gets Maui'd, right? But it's like, oh no. Well, I mean, it does technically, but
it does.
It's like this is what minimum. It kind of raises the bar of like how much you need to do in 1 hit to actually kill me.
Yeah, you're right. Because there are scenarios where like the opponent has their like Deceiver Ursula, who's hidden for what's the 2-drop? Is she a 1/2?
She's a 1/3.
1/3? 1/3. She can't do nothing to me.
Not a single thing. Not a single thing.
All right, got 1 resist chunk. And then like they underestimate the Smee passive. Like the Smee, he's supposed to take damage. He was exerted. Resist.
Yep, he'll take his damage.
Took it,
yep,
but it's just
it's gone. Who would have thunk it? That's I like blue steel. Looking into like this next set and all this stuff, I was looking into this like ruby sapphire, but I don't know. It's trending away from how I don't want to play. Like I guess it's turning into how I don't want to play. I'm trying to really make this emerald ruby work next set, and it's looking really good. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. We are at time, so this is a episode just talking about our experience with the set championship. We will do something before and after the challenge. I got tickets to Chicago. Cloudy has not got his ticket yet. He's on the wait list, but I'm
on the wait list. Let's hope for the best.
I'm hoping for the best. But if Atlanta was like any indication, we still have like a pretty strong chance of both going. And in that tournament, I went 3-1, 3-2-1. Yeah. We both went 3-2-1. In the last tournament. So day 2 for me, day 1, day 1 and only 1 for Cloudy. We ended up with the same record, which is funny because he actually run the first 3 rounds 3-0, and then it fell apart. So if we went to 5 rounds, he would have been top 8 easily. But
but that 6th round, man.
That sixth round really messed that thing, and he went against a Ruby Anthus player on the 6th round. So it's like that's actually his
tear emoji.
His worst matchup as we've been playtesting. So yeah, rock and roll. Let us know in the comments how you feel. We're also gonna put our Reddit down there. We're pretty active on the LORCANA subreddit. So we'll look at your posts, try to interact with you that way as well. This has been God Inc. LORCANA. See you guys next time.
See you.